Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to be jumping straight into this. So I got every single meta weapon and every single meta class setup for you guys, which the two best guns for rank play is going to be the Vaznev and the TAC-56, although the Kastov 7.62 is also very good. With the TAC-56, if you want it to be very good, you have to hit 3 shots in the upper chest. With the Kastov, you don't have to hit the upper chest, making it a more forgiving gun, although it is going to kill about 8 milliseconds slower than the TAC. And then also the MP5, the Kastov 545, and the M13B are very good. With all that said though, this is my personal favorite Vaznev setup. You guys can see the ADS is pretty good. We got a very good mobility and overall recoil control. Very easy to use the weapon. There's absolutely zero recoil on the weapon. You can use it up to medium range, although if you do go against an AR, you will get gunned. By the way, do you want that Orion camo, but you're just a little bit too busy to grind through all 2,000 camos? If so, you should definitely check out Guapci. Guapci provides weapon leveling services, camo unlock services, challenge unlock services such as the Warzone Nuke, and many more for all the platforms. So here are the attachments I'm running on the Vaznev, and we are going to tune them, although if you do want to play exactly like the pros, do not tune your weapon. The reason they do not tune their weapon is because tuning is G8'd, which means a gentleman's agreement. They all agreed to not tune their weapons, which I really hope they do take the tuning out of ranked play just so we can play exactly like the pros. But since we can tune, I do recommend you guys to tune your weapon. There is also 2 very good Vaznev setups that a lot of people run. The more common one is going to be to take off the barrel, so now you're going to have a lot of mobility, but you're not going to have that much damage range. And so if you do use this one, you really got to be in the enemy's face. Like Shotzi runs this one because he has very good movement, so he's able to get around the map and be in the enemy's face and be able to just destroy them completely. This thing is only good like up to 10 meters. With the barrel, I believe it's very good all the way up into like 20 meters, so it's a little bit more versatile, so that's the reason I like it. Another very good setup is this exact thing, but you do want to take off the muzzle, and so now you are going to have so much freaking mobility, but there is going to be a lot of recoil on the weapon, and so that's why I don't really like it. And you might actually want to take off the broadside and add the Ultra Zat just so you don't lose as much cons with the stock. And for the tuning on this guy, you just want to increase ADS and the aim walking speed, and I think that's going to wrap it up for the Vaznev. Next up, we got the Kastov 7.62. If you're not the best player, you might actually like this one a lot more than the TAC because it is way more forgiving. With the TAC, you really got to hit the upper chest, but with this guy, you can get like a 3-shot kill up at the legs, and I believe it is a 2-shot kill if you hit the head, making it a top tier meta weapon. And you guys can see the mobility is pretty good, and I got a couple different setups for the weapon, but you know, anybody should be able to pop off with this one. So for the muzzle, I found that the lock shot was the best one. Another very good muzzle is going to be the X10. I just found myself doing, the Tread 40. I just found myself doing a lot better with the lock shot. And then for the tuning, we're just going to increase recoil control, just so you know that recoil stabilization is your horizontal recoil control and that gun kick control is your vertical recoil control. And we are not maxing these out because the tuning is not based on a linear scale, so we're getting the most amount of gun kick control right here rather than if we were to max that out. And for the underbarrel, we are just running the shark fin. If you do want a little bit more recoil control, I would add the phase 3 grip, and then I would tune it the same way as we are tuning the shark fin. For the ammo, we are running the high velocity rounds, although exclusive Ace, he did prove that high velocity does absolutely nothing. So if you do like the feel of the high velocity rounds, it is a placebo effect unless the public matches are different than the private game, like the gun stats, which I really wouldn't be surprised if the custom game stats are different than like the actual in-game stats, but I think it is just a placebo thing. So if you do not want to run the high velocity, then I would go over to the optic and I would add the Chrono Mini Pro, which is actually going to be my favorite attachment. Just lately, I've been kind of liking the high velocity. Usually it's just whatever I'm feeling in the day, but if I am going to run an optic, it's going to be the Chrono Mini Pro, and then I'll make it a little bit farther away. This is a personal preference thing. The farther you make the sight, the less visual recoil you'll have, and you'll have more FOV, but the targets are going to be a little bit small, and so I just would find your personal preference. For the left bar, just increase that flinch resistance, and then we are running the True Tac for a little bit more mobility, tune it for more mobility. And lastly, on the stock, we are running the Kastov Rama. I was liking the Pro Light, but I found myself being a little bit more consistent with the Kastov, which if you do want to run the Pro Light or the broadside, feel free to run those, and then I believe you would just tune them the same way that we are tuning this stock. And with all that said, let's get into one of the best SMGs in the game, and that is going to be the MP5. This has the quickest time to kill if you're going to be in the enemy's face. There is a lot of recoil on this guy, as you guys can see, but there is going to be so much mobility. I believe this is like one of the highest mobility guns in the game, so if you love flying around, you will really like this setup. It's just, you know, there's a lot of recoil on the gun, but as long as you're going to be in the enemy's face where this weapon excels, you should be fine. And for the attachments, we are running the lock shot for a little bit more recoil control. On the underbarrel, we are running the operator foregrip. Many people do not run this, but trust me, makes the weapon feel very good. You'll have a very tight hip fire, and so when you're in the enemy's face, you'll have a great hip fire. And for the tuning, just tune it for more ADS and hip walking speed. And then for the underbarrel, we are running the Lachmann TCG for more recoil control, making the weapon a lot easier to use. By the way, if you ever have the option to increase your sprint to fire speed, make sure you do that. That is very important. And then just for a little bit more recoil control, we are running the stockless mod. And as you guys can see, we're only running 4 attachments. I would stay away from the barrels. I really don't like them. They don't give you enough pros for the amount of cons you got. You don't really need a magazine unless you are playing like respawn. Actually, the 40 round might feel very good. I just like the mobility more, and you know, you don't get in that many gunfights when you're in ranked because, you know, it's 4v4. Feel free to run an optic, the Corona Mini Pro with the same tuning that I showed you before. And so this overall very good setup. There is one more very good one though. With this setup, you'll still have a lot of mobility, a very quick ADS, not as quick as the other one, but still very snappy, and then recoil is a lot easier to control. So I feel like more of you guys will like this one. It's just if you can do good with the other one, you'll really do better with the other one. So for the attachments, we got the lock shot with the same tuning. We are going to be running the shark fin. If you do want a little bit more recoil control, feel free to run the commando. I would run on it with the same tuning. For the magazine, I usually run this in like public matches, so I had the magazine, but I would take that off unless you do like that. And then we got the Corona script for a little bit more flinch resistance, making it a lot easier to stay on target when the enemies are shooting at us. And then we got the mobile stock, just adding a little bit of mobility without as many cons as the no stock, and then tune it like this. And with all that said, I think we should go over the meta AR. Actually, let's do a sniper. So the professional players actually do not have any attachments on their sniper. So if you do want to play exactly like the professional players, do not run any attachments. Although if you do want to run attachments, I would run these ones. For the ammo, we're just running the high velocity, so our bullets leave our gun and hit the enemies a little bit quicker. And then for pretty much every single attachment on this build, we are just adding them for more mobility. Plus, you are going to have a pretty good aiming stability and a very high damage range and bolt velocity, which is why we are not running a barrel. If you are playing the public matches, you just want to add the shortest barrel always, but for ranked play, because you do need some damage range plus a lot of bolt velocity and aiming stability as well as the ADS speed, we are not going to be running a barrel. Also, for the full sniper class setup, we are going to be running the X12 pistol, which I do recommend to run a knife with every single other class setup for ranked. If you are running a sniper, sometimes with an AR you should run a pistol, but overall just run a knife for every regular gun. For the snipers, run the X12, and then we are just going to be running the lightning fire and the Cronen. The other attachments really don't make that much of a difference, and so I don't really recommend adding those. Again, just run a pistol only if you're running a sniper. For the tactical and the lethal, these don't really matter. I just kind of swap them based on what my teammates are running and based off how I am playing in the match. For the perks, with every single class setup, I just run the same thing. Sometimes I will take out bomb squad for the battle hardened, but overall I found bomb squad is a lot more helpful. Lastly, for the field upgrade, I'm just going to be running the dead silence with the sniper because I'm only going to be really running the sniper in search and destroy. For respawn though, you still can run the dead silence. If you are using like an AR, I wouldn't run the dead silence. The trophy system will be a lot more helpful, but if you are using a submachine gun, the dead silence is perfect for that. With an SMG, you want to be in the enemy's face, you want to be a nuance to them, you want to be very annoying, which a great way to be annoying is to run the dead silence so they can't hear you. You just want to clear up buildings and just be in the enemy's face, while the AR players just kind of cover like the outskirts or the objective, and then you'll just be in the enemy's face with your SMG, and the dead silence works very good on Fortress. With all that said though, let's get into the next class. So the next one I want to go over, this is going to be the TAC 56. So I actually got a few different TAC 56 setups. This is my personal favorite. You guys can see we got a pretty good ADS, and then you know this gun literally has a built-in Cronus. I get so many comments saying that I have a Cronus, but no, it's just the class. There is no recoil. And for every single TAC 56 setup, you do want to run a barrel and the high velocity rounds. The rest you are going to change based on the other attachments. So the Tundra Pro barrel is going to maximize that damage output, making it a very good weapon at range, and every single person runs a a barrel on their attack, so you have to, just so you don't get gunned at range by someone using a barrel. For the tuning, just increase that horizontal recoil control, and then for this bottom one, just keep it at 0. I'm not going to explain why, just trust me, keep it at 0. For the ammo, we are going to be running the high velocity, and then you just want to tune it for more damage range and bullet velocity. And then so for this setup, I'm going to be running the X-Line Pro. For the other setups, you run the Cardinal stock. The reason I like the X-Line Pro is because you can add a little bit more recoil control to the weapon without the weapon feeling slow, because this is giving us ADS speed. It does say we are losing recoil control, but you really don't feel that whatsoever. We are also getting crouch movement speed, and since our footsteps are so loud in this game, you do have to crouch walk a lot, and that makes it so you can move around a little bit quicker. And for the tuning, you just want to increase the ADS and the aim walking speed. And since we are losing recoil control with this, we are going to be going over to the underbarrel, and we are going to be throwing on the commando foregrip, which for the underbarrels, listen up, this is very, very important. Everyone needs to know this. So the two best underbarrels for recoil control is going to be the Edge 47 and the F-Tac Ripper, but they are going to have the slowest ADS speed. The next one down is going to be the commando. You'll get a little bit less recoil control, but you are going to have more mobility. And then the next one down is going to be the phase 3 grip, and then the next one down from that is going to be the shark fin 90. And for the tuning, you want to do the same tuning for every single underbarrel, and for me, I found that the commando was the best, but this is a personal preference thing. Many pros run the F-Tac Ripper, many pros run the commando foregrip, and so just again, it is personal preference. For me, I'm liking that commando and then just tune it like this, which then for the rear grip, we are going to be adding the combat grip just for a little bit more recoil control, and this is one of the attachments that's going to make the gun a beam. If you do want more recoil control, I would run the clean shot grip, and then I would believe you just tune it the same way as the combat grip. Just for me, I found myself doing best with the combat grip. So another very good TAC 56 setup is going to be the same exact thing, but it's going to be a little bit more of a aggressive setup. On the underbarrel, we are running the shark fin 90, so we don't lose as much ADS speed, but we're not getting as much recoil control, but we are not losing recoil with this Cardinal. We are only losing aiming stability. And for the tuning on the Cardinal stock, just tune it for more mobility. And then for the underbarrel, we are running the combat grip just for a little bit more recoil control, but feel free to run the clean shot grip. Lastly, there is one more that people do. They will take off the combat grip, or they'll take off the high velocity, then they'll go over to the muzzle, and then they will throw on the FJX Fulcrum Pro. This is going to be the best muzzle for the TAC 56, and so this is another very good one. Feel free to take off the high velocity, and then you can add more recoil control, or you can add the clean shot grip. Also, feel free to take off the shark fin to add like the commando or the phase 3 grip. For this one, I would probably recommend the phase 3 grip. And for the tuning on the Fulcrum Pro, you just want to tune it for more recoil control. And then I just want to show you guys how the setup is a little bit slower, but there is going to be way less recoil, making it very, very good. It's just like with that first one I showed you, I can get the same amount of recoil control with a lot more mobility, so I do recommend that first one. With all that said though, that's going to wrap it up for like the all-around meta setups in the game, but I do recommend you guys to try out the Kastov 545 and the M13B. I'll go over these very, very quickly. These are all very underrated and they are very easy to use, so if you're not the best player, like if you're in bronze through gold, you'll probably pop off with this setup. Got the Fulcrum just for a little bit more recoil control, tuning it like this. We got the shark fin. I was going to add like the phase 3, but the Kastov 545 really doesn't have that much recoil, and so you don't really need to lose that much mobility. And for the ammo, we are running the high velocity. Just remember, if you want to run an optic, take off that high velocity. Sometimes I will run an optic, it's just whatever I'm feeling at the moment. For the rear grip, we just got the true tag grip for a little bit more mobility, and then we are running the Kastov Rama. Feel free to run the Pro Light or the broadside with the same tuning. I just found the gun being a little bit more, whoa, there is the tuning for the Kastov, and the reason I'm running the Kastov is that I found myself being a little bit more consistent with this one rather than the other stocks. And just to show you guys how this weapon feels, you guys can see we got a very quick ADS. This is probably the best AR if you want to play like an SMG with an AR. Literally no recoil, so much mobility, such an underrated weapon. And lastly, we are going to be going over to the M13B. If I can back out, this is going to have one of the best damage ranges in the game, although it isn't going to have the best TTK, and so that's why the other ones are better. For if you're trying to mix things up, or if you're in like bronze to gold, it doesn't really matter what you run in those leagues, and so you should be able to pop off with this one. For the attachments, we are running the Sock and Tread 40. This is going to give you a lot of vertical without that much horizontal recoil control, and just because I didn't find that much horizontal recoil on the weapon. The iron sights for me are very, very like awkward. I don't find myself doing that good with the iron sights, and so I don't really run them. And just so you guys know, you cannot tune the Bruin stock. If you do not want to run an optic, I would just throw on an ammo, throw on the high velocity with the same tuning. Feel free to also run a barrel, but I don't really really recommend a barrel. If you do run a barrel, run the Bruin Echelon. With this exact tuning, you'll have a little bit less horizontal recoil, and then I didn't really want to lose ADS speed, but then I didn't really want to lose damage range, so I just keep that at the same. Also, you guys could actually run a barrel. You could take off the muzzle, and then you can go over to the optic and throw on the Corona Mini Pro, and this is actually another pretty good setup. I just prefer the other one, and then I'm pretty sure I showed you guys all the tuning, and I'll show you the setup in game. This is the one without a barrel. You guys can see we got a pretty good ADS and then absolutely zero recoil, and they really, I mean, they actually just buffs this weapon, making the TTK a little bit quicker, which is why it is a meta weapon now. And with all that said, I think that's gonna wrap it up for the video. If you want to see more videos just like this and you want to get better at Call of Duty, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and a like is appreciated. But I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching.
I bought a yard today, the hun painted all yellow like a bird.